All right, welcome to task 23, dividing fractions. You're going to see very quickly that dividing fractions is actually multiplying fractions. There's just one step before we divide that makes it different than multiplying, because obviously if it was exactly the same, then we would just call it multiplying fractions. So dividing fractions, we keep the first fractions exactly as is. We change the division to multiplication. And then for the second fraction, we flip it. And again, it's always the second fraction that we flip. If we flip the first fraction, you will not get the correct answer. It will not have the desired effect. So what we do is we keep the first fraction, we turn the division into multiplication, and we take the second fraction and we flip it, and that becomes 3 over 2. A flipped fraction, anytime you flip the fraction, the numerator becomes the denominator, the denominator becomes the numerator. That is called the reciprocal. So again, just talking about those vocabulary tidbits, that's an important one. We know how to multiply fractions. We multiply straight across the top. We multiply straight across the bottom, and we get our answer, 9 over 10. We can't simplify, so we're done. Now, in letter B, our original problem looks a little bit different, but ultimately it's the same thing. When we talk about flipping our second fraction, we can also think about that as our bottom fraction as well. Because when we read this problem, we're reading it top to bottom, or 2/3 divided by 3 over 5. Same way as in letter A, it would be 3/5 divided by 2 over 3. It's the divided by part that we are going based off of. So 2/3 divided by 3/5, all right? We're going to take that one, we're going to bring it up, and we are going to flip it. So we have 2/3, it becomes times, and it's 5 over 3. Because again, when we bring that 3/5 up, we are going to flip it to be 5 over 3. All right, so when we multiply straight across, we get 10 over 9. Again, we want to keep our answers as improper fractions if we can. We want to simplify, but here we can't, so we're done. Letter C, we keep our 4 over 5. We switch division to multiplication. We flip our second fraction. So we have 4 over 5 times 8 over 7. We multiply straight across. So we get 28, 32 over 35. Neither of those are divisible by any common factors. So we are done. And we've talked a lot about how to tell if there's a common factor. You can go back and watch previous videos to see any of those methods. Letter D, we're going to take the bottom fraction, bring it up, and flip it. So it becomes 5 over 9 times 8 over 1. So 5 times 8 is 40. 9 times 1 is 9. And 40 over 9 does not simplify, so we have 40 over 9, and we are done with that one. All right, looking down below, these just have parentheses over around it. That doesn't change anything. So we take the first one, we leave it alone. Division turns to multiplication. and 1 over 3 flips to 3 over 1. We're going to keep the over 1 because, again, we want two fractions. We don't want a fraction and a whole number. And we're going to multiply straight across. Now, we can use our trick that we used in our multiplying fractions, and we can look corner to corner to see if we can simplify. We can look for that common factor. And we do have a common factor between 6 and 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2, and 3 divided by 3 is 1. Again, we're looking for a common factor, so you have to divide by the same number. And then we can multiply straight across. Remember, at the end, we still want to multiply straight across. So 5 times 1 is 5. 2 times 1 is 2. And we simplify if we can, but we can't. We are allowed to keep it as an improper fraction, so we're done. For this one, we don't have two fractions to start with, so I definitely want to put the 6 over the 1, because without it, it might not look like a fraction that we have to flip anything. How do you flip a 6, right? There's nothing to flip because it doesn't have two numbers per se. So we do want to put it over 1, and then ultimately we keep the 2/3. Division turns to multiplication, and we flip this 6 over 1, and it becomes 1 over 6. Multiply straight across. 2 times 1 is 2. 3 times 6 is 18. Those are both divisible by 2, or they're both even. I cut them both in half, or divide by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 18 divided by 2 is 9. And I get 1 over 9. All right, so on to the next page. The difference with these is you have the mixed numbers instead of just the fractions to start with. We've talked a lot throughout the subtraction and the addition that we don't like the mixed numbers. We really, we want to turn any mixed number into an improper fraction. Before we do anything. So I'm going to do that first. So I get 17 over 6 divided by 3 over 7. And then I'm going to do my process. I keep the first. I multiply. I flip the second. 17 by 7. I don't know off the top of my head. I don't have a multiplication chart with me. I get 119 over 18. Looking at that, they're not both even. 119 divided by 3, I don't believe that works. 119 may or may not be a prime number. If I look, I'll grab my multiplication chart. If I look, I know the factors of 19 are 17 and 7. 17 and 7 are not factors of 18, so that is all I can simplify that, 119 over 18. And you actually knew that because those factors are right there. All right, so letter B. I get 17 over 2 divided by 1 over 4. I'm going to rewrite it, switching my division and my second fraction. I'm going to simplify my 4 and my 2 to a 2 and a 1, dividing out a 2 for both of those. 17 times 2 gives me 34. 1 times 1 gives me 4. And when I do get all the way to the end, I can keep it as 34 over 1, or I can just have 34. Both of those answers would be accepted, because 34 over 1 really just signifies a whole number. All right, for letter C, I have 51 over 8 divided by 17 over 6. That's a repeat there. I have 51 over 8 times 6 over 17. I'm actually able to simplify the 51 and the 17 along with the 8 and the 6. So if I pull out a 2, from the 8 and the 6, I get 4 and 3. And if I simplify the 17 and the 3, I get 1 and 3, because 51 divided by 17 gets me 3, and 17 divided by 17 gets me 1. So if I rewrite this problem, I get 3 over 4 times 3 over 1. That gives me 9 over 4, and I'm done. Now, this one, letter D, I will rewrite first with 2 fractions, because this is a problem. And really looking at this, if I erase this for a second, remember, and if you need to darken it, this is your, this is your fraction. Sometimes it's hard to see like where your division fraction bar is versus where your little fraction bars are, like where your fractional bars are and where your division bar is. So again, you see where that darker one is. This is your divisional bar. So you have a 3 on top, you have a 1/8 on the bottom. So you have 3 over 1 divided by 1 over 8. So I'm going to bring the bottom one up and flip it. So I have 3 over 1 times 8 over 1. Because I have multiplication now, and I have 8 over 1 because I flipped it. So I have 24 over 1, or just 24. Both are appropriate answers. All right, similarly here, this is my divisional bar. I can make this 14 over 1 on the bottom. And now I need to change them both into, well, the bottom is in an improper fraction, but the top needs to be. So I have 41 over 7 over 14 over 1. So I bring the bottom one up and flip it. So I have 41 over 7 times 1 over 14. So I have 41 over 14 times 7. So I have 8 to 98, 41 over 98. And I'm going to go out on a limb that because 41 is prime, we are done. All right. And my final one. I have mixed numbers. I need improper fractions. So I have 22 over 7 and I have 5 over 2. I'm going to bring the bottom one up and flip it. So I have 22 over 7 times 2 over 5. So I have 44 over 35. I have no common factors, so that is my answer. So if you have any questions, let me know. If you need to, go back, rewind, pause, try them, rewatch, review, ask questions, try some independently. Really just keep practicing the process. Until you get it, until it sticks. Remember, there is some muscle memory to it, especially as you get into these processes. And let me know how it goes, and I will see you on our live on Tuesday. For 119 here, I don't see it. Oh, I do see it here. I see 119 there. I don't know if I see it anywhere else. I see it there. I think those are the only 2 places I see it. So, excuse me, 117 and 7, and the other place is 17 and 7. So if I flip back,